Now we are going to discuss the right interview approach. So first of all, there are 7 points that you have to keep in mind in order to approach that interview right. The number one is that you have to be prepared. You should know about the details of the company, their recent projects, their overall culture by asking someone beforehand, or you can go online and search their website. And you should know the mission and vision of the company and specifically that job description and specifically that job that you're going to apply for. The second thing is that you have to come up dressed professionally and you have to take always take positive energy in that specific interview room. Either in case of you're talking online or you have gone in person, you have to make sure you have that positive energy on your face. The third thing is that you actually when you are outside the specific interviews room and you're about to get in, there might be someone sitting outside. You can actually ask them about the names of the person sitting in there, and then when you're going to come enter that specific room, you're going to take the name and then you are going to have a greeting with them. This is going to actually give a very good positive first impression to that specific person that you have actually put an effort to actually know them. The fourth thing is that in order to decrease your nervousness, you can, when you're sitting outside, when you're feeling nervous, you can think that the interviewer is already a friend of yours or a person who really likes you or the person who already knows you in advance. So this is going to actually help you have a decrease your nervousness and have a good understanding with that recruiter on the first place. The fifth thing is that by the end of the interview, a lot of people say that they just end up asking about the salary or they just don't end up asking anything and they just leave. Either the recruiter asks you by the end that do you have any questions for us, or even if they don't say that, you can actually jump in and say I have a slight question, if you don't mind, may I ask, and they say yes. Then you will be asking a specific question that is actually relevant to the that is going to show that you are passionate about the specific firm. For example, you can ask a specific question in terms of that what is the what we call it as the performance assessment strategy that you have for fresh candidates like me. So this would actually show that you are actually interested in knowing that specific organization, that either when you are hired, that when you how you're going to be assessed, and then you are going to add value to the specific firm. So you could ask a specific question that are relevant to your specific job. You don't have to directly jump onto the salary. Or the second thing is, in might some scenario, if they talk about that, then you can actually have a specific question for that. But on the other hand, you can actually also talk about that how you're supposed to get promotions, right? But that might give you a negative impact, so you should avoid specific questions that are directed towards that you are actually getting too needy for that specific job. But you can ask for the promotion strategy, or you can slightly ask about that how the assessment is actually carried out. That is one of the best questions that you can ask. And then by the end, when you are about to actually leave, you can take their email address or their specific card, and then you can, when you're going to go home, you're going to talk about you're going to actually write an email, and you're going to send them a thank you email for actually giving you their time to you. So what this is going to actually do is that they're going to actually leave a positive impression on the recruiter, and they unconsciously they would remind you of you when they're going to actually finalize the selection process. So here, for example, if you ask the recruiter about the strategies they have in terms of professional performance assessment of a specific new person or new hiree, if they talk about certain points that they actually follow there, then what is going to happen that in the specific email you're going to write that I had a really wonderful experience there at that interview, and especially the strategies that you use in terms of performance assessment are very unique, and I really like them, and I hope that we had a chance to meet once again, right? And then you say thank you for your specific time and I wish you a best of luck for the recruiting process. So this is going to actually remind them about you, that you actually came up with the interview, so that they would know that this special candidate is can be a potential candidate for our hire. And in last case, in the worst scenario, if you get rejected, you can actually call for a meetup, or you can go for in person and ask about the feedback, or you can actually write an email and ask about the specific feedback, that why I was not hired or what are the things that I can improve up to, and then they would be telling you that. And this actually helps in a way that in the future, if they might be needing to hire someone, they can actually contact you, or they can actually refer you somewhere else as well, because you are actually showing that you are a candidate who is actually looking up to for improvement. Let's move on towards the final tips that include the body language, especially that is very crucial when you're specifically in that interview or you are actually giving the interview online. So you have to use your hand gestures, you have to make sure you smile, and you have to practice a lot in front of a mirror. If you're, in order to actually assess yourself, how you're speaking, how you're talking, you can talk in front of your mirror, you can record yourself, and you can record your body gestures, or you can give a mock to someone and get feedback by that. Or by the time when you're going to go for that specific interview, you have to make sure you have a copy of CV with you or the cover letter with you, both. And you can have a small notebook and a pen along with you in your hand, so that is going to actually give a professional outlook. And either when you're about to actually note that down, that their email address or some specific details of the point they're going to discuss, that is the point where you can actually practice. And you might be having some questions and it was written there that you can actually practice before going in for that specific interview. So the first thing is, for the final touch, is that when you're going to go in, you have to make sure you're dressed professionally as you feel comfortable. And if you're wearing a darker complexion on top, then you have to make sure your shoes are not light. If you're wearing black, the shoes must be black or some specific tone. In a similar scenario, you have to make sure that the dressing is good, but you don't have to be dressed too funky or too party wear in that specific interview. You have to make sure you're dressed professionally and you're looking sound for that interview. The second thing is, when you're sitting at the chair or the place where you're going to talk to the recruiter, make sure your legs are not a bit crossed, because they actually represent in a certain scenario that you are actually, blocking the next person, and you are not actually feeling comfortable there. And you don't have to use your gestures a lot, or you're having a sad face, or not giving them eye contact. So what you have to do is you actually have to smile a lot, you have to sit straight, and have a decent amount of body language in order to actually communicate with the person and give positive impression. Another thing is, then when you're sitting there, if the table is closed, you don't have to cross your arms and sit up there, or don't cross your arms. They actually again show that you are getting reserved, or using putting your full arms on the table, that actually also gives a negative impression. And being too casual is not actually the right approach for that specific interview. So what you can do instead is that you can sit straight, and if the table is closed, the maximum you can do is actually put your hands on the table, or in another scenario you can actually just clutch your hands together and sit back and relax and talk about yourself. And when there is a need or to emphasize on something, you can actually move your hands and you can add gestures there as well. And by the end, you have to make sure you sit back, relax, smile, and enjoy that specific interview experience. So this was all for the right approach of that interview.